Colleagues, good evening. My name is Nikita Sobolev. I am a CTO in the company We Make Services. What do you think we do? We make services indeed. I'm also an Auth0 ambassador in Russia. Who is familiar with this company? Who has used the product? Do you enjoy it? I do. Great. I would like to start with several questions. I'm going to talk about Elixir. My first question. Who of you have used Elixir? Who has read the tutorials just a little? Perfect. Now the most important question. Who is coming to the after party? By the way, where's the after party taking place? We haven't decided yet. Okay, then I am arranging the after party. It's my second, third, fourth time in St. Petersburg. I know all the best places, so let's get together, talk about Elixir, drink beer, have fun. Two more important questions about Elixir this time. What is it good for? Is it worth having? Let's try to find the answers today. I might be a little biased, trying to show you not the pretty picture, all the hype around it. Actually, I've done a lot to create all this rush. I'm going to tell you the real stuff, as if we are already having a beer with you at the after party. What I'm going to talk about? We'll consider the classic use cases for Elixir and Erlang. I'm telling right away that I won't be making a big distinction between the two, since the platforms are similar and it's all quite the same. Also, I'm going to list the popular projects and major companies using OTP in production, and I'm going to share my personal opinion with you. So, a short note on history. In the beginning was Erlang. In the beginning is 30 years ago. Then came a Ruby superhero, tada, and we have Elixir. And that's how it all started. The birth of this new virtual machine, the user influx, and thanks to it, we are all here with you today. There are several concepts I can't but mention for you to get the idea. Concept 1, immutability. The previous speaker said that there's Hanami, it also has immutability. Here it's all out of the box. These are the ideas that reside in this virtual machine. Then we have pattern matching. Probably everyone's heard what it is. Who hasn't? Great. Pattern matching also greatly simplifies the development process. Another key factor to understand is simple processes. When we say a process, we understand a thread in an operation system taking up hundreds of thousands of megabytes. It's hard to run, impossible to monitor. No, in Erlang and Elixir, it's quite different. A process is very small, easy to create, easy to supervise, easy to kill, and it consumes little, so you can create many processes at the virtual machine level. And there is a methodology known as let it crash. You have many processes, you can't keep track of all of them. One has crashed, no big deal. That's why Erlang and Elixir allow you to build very interesting systems and use the given concepts in an interesting way. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Advantage number 1, great asynchrony. Such asynchrony is really hard to compete. Number 2, fault tolerance and reliability. We have some tools to supervise the processes. They can crash, they can be created, and so on. We get a tool which can guarantee fault tolerance of our application, not to surround it with dry accepts, hoping that it won't crash, but to understand how to process failed scenarios, how not to care about such scenarios and work only with positive cases, and so on. Another useful and pleasant fact is that Elixir can take advantage of all CPUs out of the box. Not all languages are capable of that, like Python I'm coding in. It's my second Ruby Meetup, and it's the second time I don't understand a thing because I haven't written a line of code in Ruby. So, the weaknesses. In fact, Elixir has quite a few of them. The first one, poor calculation. The second one, few libraries. If you want to do something out of the ordinary, say like adding Active Directory authorization, good luck with that. Most likely it's not going to work. You'll have to write it from scratch. Let's figure out when to use Elixir. They say that Elixir can replace Ruby. That's not true. Elixir is not for everyday use. It's not a general programming language. You won't be able to rewrite everything in Elixir, like reject your Rails monolith and rewrite everything in Elixir. Well, you could do that, but it would be senseless. It won't give you any real profit, while your management will get a headache. What is a classic case of using Elixir? When you have a lot of I/O. Why? Because Elixir, as an heir of Erlang, came to us from telecom. Originally, Ericsson Company had developed Ericsson language to operate their telephone supermachines. It puts a stamp on the whole ecosystem. It's very good to use Erlang and Elixir in telephone industry, but hardly any one of us would do that, so it's a standard good old example of how it all started. Ericsson is still using Erlang to operate their telephone exchange substations, and it's all fine. There is another example more close to modern world. It's chats. We all use them, we love them. The most well-known ones written in Elixir or Erlang are Discord, written in Elixir, quite a recent one, and has gained its popularity. And it can be considered a very high-loaded app. Then it's WhatsApp, written in Erlang with tons of users, and we're going to talk more about it. And the Facebook Messenger. Originally, it was written in Erlang, then they rewrote it, so it's something different now, but it had been in Erlang for like 10 years. So, how many people are actually using these products? For you to get the idea of the numbers I'm talking about, WhatsApp users generate about 50 billion messages a day. It's high load. They have 8,000 cores, unreal memory storage, a whole architecture. They've patched FreeBSD, patched Erlang virtual machine to make it all work. Figures are like that. Facebook is 30 million users per second, meaning that 30 million users are writing something to you this very moment. 30 or 300? 300. It's an enormous number. Earlier, Erlang could cope with that, but for some reason they decided to rewrite it in some other language. And Discord. Compared to these numbers, Discord is just a baby. It has only 5 million users per second. However, that's a number not every project can ever achieve. And as you see, Erlang and Elixir easily cope with such numbers. Well, moving on to the next use case, you have a lot of soft real-time data. Everyone understands that with soft real-time there is a certain latency, but never mind. Such applications are very popular on Wall Street. It's a typical use case. Stock exchange, currency rates, quotes, and other financial data you continuously receive, and you have to keep it up to date, draw some diagrams at the front end, trade shares, sell something, and so on. But it's not only that. You can also gather statistics when the statistics come from a variety of different clients in big amounts, or you want to send certain events outwards or get logs, write logs, and so on. Much I/O, much real-time data. What can I say here? Elixir has everything it takes to work with such applications. First of all, OTP is good for WebSockets. Let's say OTP provides good concepts to implement good tooling over those concepts to work with WebSockets. A classic example from Elixir world are Phoenix channels. Works perfectly. It creates a separate process for every WebSocket. This process has an internal state. It has stateful WebSockets, and the users may write something there, do some actions, communicate. Splendid. Elixir can process large data volumes on the go, easily. And it can quickly serialize and deserialize data, since we don't have any complex objects or many structure indent levels. That's why serialization is quite cheap. Next use case. Imagine that You have a task which requires a huge number of parallel processes. What kind of a task can it be? Imagine that you have a web spider or web scrapper. Web scrapper is a very Python thing. Pythoners love web scrapping, and then they would arrange machine learning after that. What is web scrapping? We have some initial requests, like we want to get to Harbor, take some links from there, then follow some other links, find some data, save it to the database. That's what web scrapping is all about. Do you think, does it comply with the concept of producing new processes? It perfectly does. We've discovered some URL we are interested in, created a new process, the process goes by this URL, finds some other URLs, creates more new processes, they go further, and we've saved the internet. Amazing. One more point. Some people think that Erlang is good for databases. Seriously, quite a few databases are written in Erlang. For instance, it's not Mortar, it's a database. I just couldn't find a better picture. This is a database. For instance, we have Mnesia. It is a controversial Erlang fossil. It's old and gives room for arguments. Honestly, I've never used it, but many people say it's good, while others say never ever. Something's wrong here. Reputation is doubtful and the name is not particularly good. What is it? It is a distributed document-oriented database, which is a part of Erlang. If you install Erlang, you also get the database. It is common for Erlang to contain some weird stuff. Ericsson owns the language and they develop it as they like. They may include some coders, decoders, of unusual formats that nobody uses, but they are still there in the core. They don't want to add JSON. Mnesia is a database written over another Erlang database called ETS, and it all sort of works. I have no idea why they did it this way, but that's how it is. The next one from a real world is Couchdb. You must have heard of it. Who has? Almost everyone. It's a database which doesn't want to be a database, but wants to be your web server. It is written in Erlang, and Riak is also written in Erlang. Please note that all these databases have an important common word, distributed. It's not like monolithic Postgres, MySQL. They all are distributed, right? Because Erlang and Elixir allow you to easily distribute your applications. With the help of their concepts, they allow you to write into your database when one node has died and you keep writing in another one. When you read, there might be no node, and you keep reading from another one. There are even some jokes that only the Erlangists can get. I even made a research especially for this talk, but I still couldn't get it. I'll give you a link to it at the end. Moving on, message delivery. There are many services which only send messages to each other. A classic example is RabbitMQ. Probably everyone here has used RabbitMQ at least once. RabbitMQ is written in Erlang and it will reliably deliver a message for you. That's why people love it. According to Erlang concept, if there's a task until it's completed, no good life for you. Like, I have a process. It wants to send a message. It comes to me and says, you know, I haven't sent anything. There was a queue at the post. No way. You say, all right, try tomorrow. Okay. It goes tomorrow, but it's Saturday. The post office is closed. Okay, try tomorrow. And you keep abusing it until it finally sends this message. And it's perfectly fine for certain tasks. Naturally, it's not only RabbitMQ that does it this way, but for instance, eJabberD. When we were younger, we used Jabber for everyday communication. eJabberD is one of the implementations of Jabber daemon and server. It does a lot of stuff. Many companies use it for RSS and so on.
Ну, вот такая штука есть.
Next.
Дальше. Теперь очень важный вопрос.
Another important question. What Erlang and Elixir are no good for? First, data science. Do you remember me saying that Erlang and Elixir are very bad at calculating, so you'd better not build data science in it? Just don't. Also, for applications which integrate much with C, C++, Rust, and so on. Why? Because Erlang and Elixir love to contain everything inside their virtual machine. As soon as you try to bring some actions outwards, something may crash inside, it can crash everything at all, and you're going to lose all the Erlang benefits. Next, no good for startups. Erlang and Elixir are not good for startups. They just aren't. For a very simple reason. What do you think the reason is? Few people, too expensive, slow, features can be hacked, everyone's learning new concepts, get inspired by functional programming, attend conferences, but features are not implemented. Which is why I'm here. Yeah, which is why I'm here. It's curious that Erlang and Elixir are no good for enterprise. Any ideas why? Well, enterprise can afford developers and deadlines are further. Enterprise requires many developers, and there isn't as much tool chain as there is for Java. Take Active Directory, for instance. I'm not sure, maybe it's already there, but when I needed it, it wasn't. When I come up with an idea of taking an OLAP cube, oh, nobody can do that in Elixir or Erlang. Why would you even ask for this? And other typical enterprise problems. For enterprise, it would be hard to sell, hard to ensure maintenance, and so on. Typical enterprise issues. And I've also included this last point. I'm sure you realize that you can't use Erlang for landing pages. And now my biased approach. Previously, I've talked about the experience of certain companies, numbers, and so on. Now it's time for my personal evaluation. For you to get the idea of my Elixir experience and why my personal viewpoint has any value. By Elixir standards, I am already a senior. I've been writing in Elixir for 2 years. I also hold Elixir conferences, so I've heard a lot of stuff on the matter from those who've been writing on Erlang all their lives and are making fun of us. So I'm here to share my experience I've gained in these years, all these years. So you need to do it 4 times faster than in Ruby. It's a quote of Igor Karimov, one of our speakers, and it's true for a variety of use cases. If you've written a Ruby application and it's slow, and you want it to be 4 times faster, write it in Elixir. You don't have to do anything else, just write it in Elixir. It's not really relevant because you can rewrite it in Crystal or Rust and increase performance 50 or 60 times. But if you need exactly 4 times faster, then write in Elixir. I had a very enjoyable experience, probably the most enjoyable one with Elixir. One of our clients, a company involved in postal shipment, had a problem. They had many other clients, some postal companies, some individuals ordering something from them, some companies sending parcels through them, receiving parcels. All in all, typical logistics. And it required continuous tracking updates, request tracking, provide tracking, process users tracking, and the logic was very complex. For instance, a user could request tracking, but we knew that the parcel hasn't yet been tracked, and we can't tell the user that the parcel is still in China, as 2 weeks have already passed. We need to show that it's been in Moscow at the mail sorting center for the user not to worry. What we have to do, we start rushing around, tracking, saving some statuses, and show it to the user, like, look, in fact, you're fine. We had done this in PHP, and it didn't work out well. Later, it occurred that certain companies may just start responding with status 500 just like that. Previously, PHP couldn't manage such situations well enough because it had been using some libcurl for that. Libcurl went somewhere, saw status 500, didn't understand anything, and we had to create a queue, place and tracked orders in this queue, track them once again. It consumed a lot of memory, worked slowly, and was awful. We rewrote it all in Elixir. And from time to time, I open it and change some business logic, maybe add some tracking providers. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. This application has been out there for a year. It tracks, it's fast, it doesn't require monitoring, it just works. To me, it's my main success story with Elixir. Let's look into this case once again. There is a huge number of I/O operations. I'm continuously moving back and forth around the network. Request trackings, provide trackings. The users keep requesting them all the time. There's not that big a load. I don't know how big it is since there is no monitoring, but it isn't big. Nevertheless, the number of requests is quite big, and something may crash, like a company may return an invalid tracking or just a wrong one. A parcel can have its number changed. There might be some fault in the database, and so on. Many things may go wrong. Erlang and Elixir are good at dealing with such issues. Moving on. That was a major success story of mine. Now I'm going to tell you about a minor one. Erlang and Elixir provide us with an opportunity to parse binary files with the help of pattern matching. When I learned about it for the first time, I thought, wow, that's cool. I should try it. I tried, and it was really cool. For instance, in Python, if you have an MP3 file and you want to know the name of the track or the album, you have to write a lot of code. In Erlang and Elixir, you can do that in 4 lines. We have a binary file that has a certain layout. We can easily express this layout in the left part with the help of pattern matching. We template, parse the binary file, ready. If you have a task that requires parsing many binary files, consider pattern matching. It doesn't have to be Elixir or Erlang, might be some other languages with good expressive power, but it's a very good case. Moving on. If half of your application is written inside Kik, or if you are writing in Python, then it's celery. Consider rewriting this part in Elixir. How does Sidekick work? Probably the same as celery. If not, please correct me. It has a message broker. You fill it with messages, the messages are consumed by worker, it performs its functions, and then there's some result. It may record something in the database or may not. This whole process takes only 1 line in Elixir. You just write task async, do what required asynchronously. If you need a result, you write task await, and that's it. When you wrote logic, when your whole logic is inside Kik, consider rewriting this part in Elixir. It will boost performance. You clearly understand what is going on. You have built-in monitoring. You don't have to hook anything to it, and it will work so much better. If you have a single task that you run once in 5 minutes to welcome new users and send them an email, probably there is no need in rewriting it in Elixir. Makes sense. How to arrange applications? There are 2 ways, monolithic and microservices. In terms of Elixir monolithic arrangements, I'd give it a thought, because if you are writing a monolith in Elixir, at a certain point you'll come across a big number of business requirements. You have to make some user permissions to all users except for one particular one, and so on. And it appears that in Elixir, you write a lot of business code, which isn't good. There is a variety of ready-made solutions in Ruby, in Python, which are better than what you could write manually. And I find microservices much more preferable.
То есть Elixir в
Elixir
качестве
is
микросервиса вообще
very
очень
good
хорошо
as
работает. В
microservices. As
качестве
a
монолита он
monolith,
тоже работает, но, на мой взгляд,
it's
сильно
not that
хуже.
bad,
Ну,
but
по
it's
причинам,
worse.
которые я
But
обозначил.
it's worse for the reasons I've
Наш
just
stack.
mentioned. Our
Мы
stack.
используем
We are using
JavaScript для
JavaScript for
фронтенда,
front-end,
Elixir
Elixir
иногда,
sometimes,
и
and
Python в
Python
качестве
as the
основного
main
бэкэнда.
backend.
То есть мы
So we
не
don't use
используем
only
только
Elixir
или
or
только
only
Python. Мы их
Python.
миксуем,
We
и получается
combine them,
хорошо.
and it works out well.
Стоит ли брать?
Is it worth it?
Если вы
If you are
хотите взять
considering
Elixir,
using Elixir,
вы можете
you can
воспользоваться
refer to
моей
my
субъективной
biased
табличкой.
table here.
Первое.
First,
Проект
the
будет под
project
высокой
will be
нагрузкой.
high
Да, это
loaded.
всегда флаг, что нужно
It's always
задуматься об
worth to
этом и,
consider it
возможно,
in
заранее
advance and choose
взять
the
правильный
appropriate
инструмент.
tool.
Соответственно,
The
проект
project
будет
will
работать
have
с большим
many
количеством
input-output
операциями. Если
operations.
да,
If so,
тоже
give it a
задумайтесь, это
thought because
хороший
it's a
use
good
case.
use case. Next,
Следующее.
you
Проект
want to make a
хочется сделать
project
один раз и
once and
забыть.
forget
Вот это
about it.
очень субъективная
It
тема, сейчас
requires
объясню.
judgment. I'm going to explain
Как я
why.
уже
As
говорил,
I've already
например,
told you,
с тем приложением
that
для
tracking
трекинга.
application,
Я
I
его
made
один
it,
раз
I made
сделал
it
и забыл
once
про него.
and forgot
Да, то
about
есть
it.
иногда что-то меняю, ну,
Sometimes I
так, по
make
мелочи.
certain adjustments,
Но
but
если
only
вы
minor
делаете
ones.
какой-то продукт,
And if
который
you are
будет
making a
постоянно
product
там
with
развиваться
expected
итеративно или
iterative
там еще
growth,
как-нибудь,
you may come
то,
across the
возможно, вы
following
столкнетесь с тем,
issues.
что, опять же, нет
Lack of
разработчиков.
developers,
Какие-то
you need
фичи
to
нужно
add new
добавлять, а
features,
вы,
and it's going to
блин,
take
думаете, что
too
это
much
очень
time.
долго будет делаться, и неизвестно вообще, сделается ли и так
You
далее.
have to be
И
very careful about it.
вот с этим нужно быть очень
The
аккуратным.
main
То
restriction
есть, на мой
here
взгляд,
is
тут
a
прям самое
very
главное ограничение, что вы
time-consuming
понимаете,
development.
что это будет очень долго в разработке. Это не
So,
какой-то один
if you are
маленький
making a
сервис, который,
small
например,
service
занимается
that would only
только
handle message
отправкой сообщений.
sending, then it's
А
fine.
это что-то более
Otherwise, it might be
сложное, тогда,
better
возможно,
to do it
лучше
in
взять Ruby и
Ruby
просто
and enhance
накручивать ему
its
производительность.
performance.
Точно
You
не стоит
definitely
использовать,
shouldn't use
если будет много
Elixir if there is a lot of
Вот
business
точно не
logic.
надо.
That's for
Если
sure.
этот проект будет
If the
постоянно
project
поддерживать,
requires
если там
continuous
будет команда,
maintenance, if
ну,
there is
прям
like a
поддержка,
whole
которая будет
maintenance
что-то
team
делать,
to release
опять
new
же, релизить
features,
новые фичи, и
just
вот
don't.
не надо,
Because
потому что
instead of a developer
вы
with
вместо разработчика за 70 тысяч или 80
80,000
тысяч
ruble
рублей будете
salary, you'll
нанимать по
have to
160.
hire one requesting
Не очень хорошо.
160,000. Not
И
so
будет
good. And
маленькая
if you
или
expect
средняя
medium to
нагрузка.
small load,
Ну, тогда
then
смысла
there is
нет,
no
потому что,
sense in
ну,
it because you can
маленькую
write
среднюю нагрузку
in
можно хоть на
PHP
PHP писать,
instead.
всё будет нормально.
Useful
Полезные
links.
ссылки. Их
Very
очень
few
мало.
of them. Kidding.
Это была ирония. Ну, что
You'll
я
have a chance to refer to
сохранил слайды,
to
пришлю, и вы
these
сможете
slides
почитать
later, and you
все
can read
материалы
these
подробно о том,
materials
как,
more
например,
thoroughly.
Discord
For instance, how
скейлится до 5
Discord
миллионов
scaled
активных
to
пользователей,
Elixir to
о том,
5
как
million
устроен внутри WhatsApp.
concurrent
У него
users.
там
What's
куча
the
пользователей
architecture
вообще,
behind
он там делает
WhatsApp?
какие-то
It has a
невообразимые
lot of
фичи.
users, and they
И
add some
немножко про
incredible
базы
features
данных,
and some
про
information
React,
about
про
databases,
Couchdb.
Couchdb.
Возможно, кто-то с ними не
Maybe some of
сталкивался,
you
они
have never
интересные.
come
Я
across
решил
them. They are quite interesting.
их обсудить в таком варианте.
And
Ну,
maybe it's not
соответственно,
very timely,
не очень
but
актуально,
if
но
you
тем не
happen to
менее,
be in
если вы
Moscow
когда-нибудь будете в Москве,
and find
и,
out
в
that
общем,
you
в
have an
Москве вы увидите, что у вас
opportunity to
есть
attend
чудесная возможность сходить
Elixir
на
like
Elixir
Moscow, please do.
приходите. Я
I'm
там
involved in
занимаюсь
organizing, I
организацией
invite
всяких
speakers,
спикеров, приглашаю,
interesting,
интересно,
fun,
весело,
after
автопати,
party,
пиво,
beer,
всё как
everything
мы
we
любим.
like. Follow
Ссылка
the
внизу,
link to
там
find
есть
sneak
актуальные
peeks,
анонсы, есть
videos of
видео
our
с наших
previous
прошлых докладов
presentations, and
и
other stuff.
все.
If you
Ну
have
и,
any
соответственно, если у вас
questions,
есть
you are
вопросы,
welcome.
задавайте, добавляйте
You
меня
can
на
add me
GitHub,
on
давайте
GitHub.
что-нибудь запилим
We
на
could make
Elixir
something
вместе
awesome
классное.
in
Спасибо.
Elixir together. Thank you.